Hello YouTube, just a follow-up to the business I've been talking about with a certain person that I can't or won't mention their name. I could mention their name, but it just gives them ammunition then to complain to YouTube, which I don't want. I don't need that. So we'll just keep their name out of it. But anyway, I'll read to you from what this person has said, and I'll pass comment. I'll skip some bits as well because they just don't seem relevant. Anyway, so this person says, "Hello. Unfortunately, various schizoid people who've had something to do with occult groups have trolled and spammed this thread of comments." Right, well, I'm not a part of a cult group, and I don't think I'm schizo. I think the person who's saying that we're schizos might be the schizo, but or at least a psycho or a sociopath. Very, absolutely, definitely a sociopath, but possibly psychopath or maybe schizo. Yeah, and then he says that some of the trolls have 666 in their YouTube channel names. Right. Well, we better put me on the stake then, haven't we, with all the witches, and burn me, because I've got 666 in my name. Yes, but, doesn't bother to explain why I've got 666 in my name. This gang of trolls curiously have nothing better to do with their time than to sit like hawks, trying to convince members of the public that anyone who investigates cults and secret societies is somehow a con man. No, I'm not trying to say that everyone who investigates cults and secret societies is a con man. I'm just trying to say that this person who claims to be investigating cults and secret societies is in fact a con man. And, I'm kind of interested by this, I'm an investigator of cults and secret societies, because I've seen your videos. And it just looks like a mishmash hodgepodge of already known information about things like the Nazis were occultists. Oh, Aleister Crowley, he was a big man and nasty. Oh. And then it puts your own spin on it, which is usually bullshit, like, all the Kabbalists were Jews and they came from Turkey and went into northern France via southern Italy to get to Spain because they were on their way to Norway, where they had a big meeting with some people from Bavaria. Yeah, that is just made up bullshit by you, right? Now, if you call that investigation, and a lot of what you touch on, involves waffle, and you can actually see the thought processes in your mind as you slow down your speech and start looking into the corners, and as you're trying to pluck out desperately information about the magic societies and how they came from Uzbekistan and went all the way through Moldavia, and then spread their influence through Carpathia, and then affected all the secret schools in Bavaria, and popped out somewhere in Macedonia, and it's like, you can see the fucking cogs trying to churn this bullshit out. Like as if you think it's going to be mysterious and people are going to learn something about, the mystery schools because you tell them where they went. Yeah? Now, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to give people the impression that you're some sort of fucking historian. And you're not. Okay? Why don't you tell people something about how this fucking stuff works? Yeah? It's like telling me that there's people in London, right, at the Conservative Party, and they're fucking bastards, those Conservative Party. Do you know what those fucking Conservative Party did? Last week I read it in the newspaper. They went to Brighton, and they fucking travelled up to London in a train, those fucking Conservatives, right? And then they made a press statement, and in their press statement they said, "We have come back. from Birmingham. We've come from Birmingham, and later on, we're going to Wales. And after Wales, maybe we'll stop in Bristol. Ha ha ha! There you go. We're going to fucking Bristol. Yeah, there, fuck you. Yeah? Do you know how fucking stupid what you talk about sounds sometimes? Right? Okay, just as a little, you're talking bollocks. It's called waffle. It's called padding. Pad, because you actually haven't got anything meaningful to say. Okay, but that aside, right? That aside, let's carry on. He says, they surely do have a lot to hide. What have I got a lot to hide? Please, tell me what I am hiding. Is it the fact that I'm not wearing any trousers today and my cock is hanging out? Oh no, I actually have got some trousers on. See, now I sometimes forget that, right? And sometimes I do actually forget to put my trousers and the pants on. And, so what exactly am I trying to hide? What is it? Is it in here? Maybe it's in here. Maybe it's in one of these secret boxes. No, you can't see what's in the secret boxes. No, because these, if I open these secret boxes where all the demons would come out of, the demons I'm trying to hide. Watch now, demon, ready? Yeah? Is that what I'm trying to hide? Maybe it's on my phone. Maybe if I could actually discover how to get into my phone, right, there would be some secrets in there that I'm trying to hide. What exactly am I trying to hide? Smoke screen, deflection, turning it round like as if we're the ones trying to fucking hide something. Okay, fair enough. It's a nice attempt. It works like this much. Okay, fair enough. And he says, in the interview with Sean, it touches on the secret way these cults operate. Cult members do not like the types of books and films that I make, especially if they involve exposure of well-heeled politicians with occult ritual and sex crimes. You haven't exposed any. You haven't exposed any fucking politician. Right, okay. We can all sit back in a chair, right, and say, yeah, fucking, I don't know, Tony Benn. Yeah, Tony Benn. Yeah, paedophile. Yeah? Doesn't mean we've got any evidence for it, does it? So, yeah, and he says, these trolls worship Aleister Crowley, and some of these trolls are in Tempe, Arizona. Now, this is trying to direct this directly at Deb C, right, who has been putting stuff up about her personal experiences she's had. Now, Deb C is a Christian, okay? She is very Christian, because, sadly, I have to say, she tries to fucking talk to me about it sometimes when we're on the internet, and I'm not all that interested. Sorry, Deb. But, she does. She tells me about she quotes from the Bible, she keeps on telling me what a wonderful book it is and all this fucking stuff, and I should read it, and she tries to turn me on, as Christians do. They have to do their good bit. And fair enough, Deb's a friend, but I ain't a Christian in the strict sense. I was christened, but I wouldn't exactly describe myself as a practicing Christian. But, that said, Deb is, okay? So when Miss... Oh, fuck, I said his name, right, okay, so I'll cut that now. When tries to say things like that, he's having a dig at this person for something they haven't done, which is clearly, she's not into Aleister Crowley, and she's not in a fucking cult, about the biggest cult she's in is called, a family where she goes and visits her mum, she's in that sort of cult, and she goes to visit her mum, and she's got a dog, she's in the dog keeping cult, if he knows what sort of cult she's in, let's hear it, please. Out with it. I'd love to know what cult she's in. And he says he studies astronomy at the University of Greenwich. And he owns a Meade Light Telescope connected to a Canon 550D, right? Why are you telling us this? Why are you telling us this? Yeah? We're talking to you about being a fucking paedophile, right? Why are you talking to us about fucking telescopes? Buh. Yeah? Do you think we give a fuck about telescopes? This is ridiculous. Yeah? 550D, right? That is the cheap shit Canon camera. That is the one you buy if you can't afford the real ones, which are known as 5Ds. You buy the 550, which has the small image sensor instead of the full 35mm frame image sensor. You have the micro sensor, yeah, which comes with added grain and noise, yeah, and is not considered professional, yeah. It's not even considered very good for fucking amateurs, to be honest, yeah. It's a cut down, yeah. So stop trying to brag about the fact that you've got a fucking, you know, a motorbike instead of a motor car, okay? This is not impressive, yeah? So, even though I use professional equipment, no, a Meade telescope is a cheap telescope, okay? And a Canon 550D is a cheap camera. So I don't know which planet you grew up on, mate, but those are not professional. But we shouldn't even be talking about this because it's waffle and it's smokescreen, yeah? I grew up in Greenwich. Who gives a fuck where you grew up, right? Why are you talking about this, right? He says, and I visited the Royal Observatory and studied the equipment of Sir Isaac Newton, who lived in Greenwich, and as a full-time hobby when I was a teenager. Astronomy is not on the national curriculum in Britain. Do you know why it's not on the national curriculum in Britain, mate? Because most people don't need to know about astronomy when they're doing daily fucking work. And it's not on the national curriculum, you fucking moron, because I think maths, English, yeah, English language, English literature, physics, yeah, computing, these sorts of things, a little bit more important than fucking astronomy, yeah? Although we all have to know that we live on a spherical planet that is going around the sun, we can let the experts who want to get involved in that tell us about it, yes? We don't need to busy ourselves with fucking stuff like that, do we? Anyway, you have to pay for a private training diploma. Diploma? Hang on a second. You just said you had a degree. You said you had a degree. Now it's a diploma. Okay, so which is it? You can't make your mind up. Have you got a university degree? Yeah? Or a diploma? Yeah? You've told people you had a degree. It's probably a diploma. You probably don't even have a diploma from the University of Greenwich. What you did, probably, I would imagine, like most people who are full of shit do, is you've actually visited the University of Greenwich, which means you've been there, yeah, and you did an online study course which gives you a fucking certificate that you pay £20 and they send you a certificate whether you know anything about astronomy or not. That sounds much more like your type of territory, if I had to guess. You know, just possibly. So, you know, but why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about whether or not it's on the national curriculum, right? And whether you have to pay for private training diplomas. Why are we talking about this, right? And thankfully we get back on track. I wholeheartedly apologise for these trolls and wish them good riddance with their multiple abuse reports which they brought upon themselves. Well, I don't care if you put 200 fucking abuse reports onto YouTube about me. I'm interested in why you're a paedophile, right? Why do you have pictures of child porn on your computer? Why did you try to get something on with your ex-cleaning lady's daughter? Why did you try to take kids in your car to McDonald's, which you were asked questions about by the police, I understand? Why were you trying to take kiddies to McDonald's? And that sounds like the type of thing that you get, like, you know, man in the park offering the children sweeties, yeah? And, you know, the police getting a little bit interested in you, and I'm sure they were quite interested why you were taking kids to McDonald's, right, in your unregistered vehicle, which it hasn't got insurance, and you don't have a driving license. So I think there could be a few questions asked there about not only why you're going to McDonald's with kiddies, yeah, but the mode of transport you're using, yeah, and if there's an accident with somebody's kid in your car, and it's shown that you don't have a driving license and you can't pay the fucking medical bills or pay fucking compensation for any damages done to said children if you have an accident because you don't have any insurance, yeah, that's, I think, you know, the police are not only interested in you for the kiddies, but they're probably interested in you for a few other things, aren't they? Yeah? Now, here we go, sideways again, sideways onto something that has nothing to do with anything in the post, right? And he says, my latest book shows that Jet Propulsion Labs was founded on Halloween. And what does this have to do with the price of fish? Or is the sun coming up at a different time tomorrow in Amsterdam? What the fuck does this have to do with anything? Right, okay. Okay. My latest book shows that Jet Propulsion Labs was founded on Halloween, and one of the founders was a man who baptized himself as Dajjal the Antichrist. He was commissioned by the Estate of Israel to build a super bomb more destructive than the H-bomb. My book also investigates claims that Majestic 12 were a group of physicists who monitored the crash sites of flying saucers. Yeah, so what don't we already know about Majestic 12? Okay, my new digital book shows a clear and simple relationship between Satanism, Kabbalah, Crowley, JPL, NASA, Scientology, and the Magic 12 group. Are you fucking name-dropping here? Are you name-dropping? Yeah? Because, honestly, what has this got to do with the fucking subject at hand? That you're a tax evader, you fucking commit bank fraud, you open bank accounts in people's names, yeah? That you know, and then you try to funnel money through them so that you can evade tax, which is known as money laundering, yeah, and is a form of fraud, which is criminal, yeah. Then you got the paedophile stuff, yeah, and you're trying to blame fucking Ted Gunderson. You're saying, oh, Ted Gunderson got me into the dark web, and he, you know, and the guy's dead. How can you prove that Ted Gunderson got you into looking at stuff on the dark web, yeah? And just because somebody gets you into, you know, the dark web, I think you are far, far more fucking qualified in computers than Ted Gunderson, yeah? You know a lot more about the internet than Ted Gunderson. Don't fucking tell me that you didn't know about the dark web, yeah? Right? So you're using somebody else's excuse for why you went on a fucking porn hunt for child porn, which you downloaded, you didn't just look at, yeah? You downloaded onto your machine and kept for 5 years, yeah? Until Deb saw it on your machine and other people saw it on your machine. And then you're like, oh no, I'm doing an investigation. I'm doing investigations into child porn and satanic child porn stuff. That's why I've got to have it on my machine. Really? Really? So where's the documentation then? Where's the book? Where's the DVD? Where's the documentary you've been producing on child porn on the internet? Where is this documentary? Where is it? Does it exist? No. And since then, you've had an extra, since that 2005 date, you've had an extra 5 years, so it's 2015 now, so you've had 10 years to research child porn and produce anything relating to investigations on child porn, yeah? I don't remember you publishing anything about this, or telling anybody about this, or revealing anything, or tracking anything down. I don't know. I don't seem to remember it. Maybe I missed that memo. But all I seem to understand is that you're using a dead man's name to get you off the hook for having child porn on your PC. And you are basically admitting that you did it because of the dark web that somebody else got you into. Oh, he made me go and look at the dark web. It was him. He made me look at the dark web, and then I felt compelled to download it onto my PC. I felt compelled to download it and keep it there. But it was his fault because he told me it was there. So because he told me it was there, I had to go and look at it and download it. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yeah. Why don't you just blame your parents or something, Chris? I mean, you know, oh, it's their problem. They gave birth to me, and because they gave birth to me, I met somebody who told me there was a dark web, and then I had to go and look at it. But if they hadn't given birth to me, then I wouldn't have had to look at it. I think we should blame my parents, you know, for giving birth to me. Then I wouldn't have gone and looked at the child porn if they hadn't given birth to me. Yeah. Who else are you going to blame for what you have done? Yeah, interesting. Well done. You really are showing yourself up to be a complete fucking retard, in my opinion. But, hey, what the fuck do I know? And no, you don't have to answer yourself to me, but hopefully one day you will answer yourself to the authorities. So, thanks very much for watching.